It as always, you associate the West Coast of America with film so much, I suppose. What was there any film work at that time? What kept you going?
Strong family unit. I've been married for 21 years, and basically that was it, just to my understanding that what my intent was for being in the business. My intent was to really try to understand myself a little bit better. If you chase fame and fortune, you usually don't capture it. You don't understand it in the right way if you do capture it. In this case, what kept me going was a strong understanding that what my intent was just to find out a little bit more about myself and to benefit my family. And it's worked out that way. I found out who I am a little bit better, and my family have been the ones who have won. They've won. It's been a sacrifice because we haven't been financially always stable, but I worked real hard as moving, delivering furniture, waiting on tables, doing a multitude of things, delivering newspapers, working in rock music. I worked in rock music from 1961 through 1972 till the first child was born.
As a singer, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Up until 1972. In 1972 is when I made a choice of stopping the band situation and going on my own into theater even more. And that's when I started the furniture moving business, and I started other kind of jobs just to keep myself going independent of the music business. Because I had gotten some great advice at a very young age from my father-in-law, who said I should come out as an actor first and a singer second. And
you're speaking there of Howard Keel, aren't you?
Yes, I've been married to his daughter for a long time.
And indeed, Howard Keel started off, strange enough, if I remember rightly, in his career. I think perhaps the first film he ever did, I think, was the first film anyway, I think was a straight acting performance. I may be wrong about that.
I think you're right in respects of a straight acting performance. He started his career as a singer, and then went on to do film, and in that film he made some of the classic musicals of
Indeed,
the 40s
he
and
did.
50s.
Grew up with Howard Keel's great voice in my ears, which was very nice. The gap between Suit and, say, the role that everybody knows you for at the moment, the Miami Vice, the continuing role in that, how did one thing lead to the other?
Well, when I did the theater piece in Los Angeles, we went on to New York. In New York, I was very fortunate in being given some incredible critical acclamation that not only was prevalent in the United States, but then went on beyond that and became an international name out of the theater, which was something that normally doesn't happen. It's very difficult. And we went on to do film, and the first film that I really took a hold on was a thing called Wolfen, which was man's inhumanity towards his environment and what happens when the environment turns against you. And
Albert Finney, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Albert Finney, myself, and Gregory Hines. And then I went on to do Blade Runner, which was a strong look at the year 2020 in any city.
We certainly messed up the environment with that.
Yes, we did. And that one really took a real strong and hard look at Los Angeles in the year 2020 by Ridley Scott, and then went on to do The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, which was really one of my first productions that I produced and really watched all the way through. It took me about 6 years to get that one made, and then that led me right into Miami Vice. Yes.
Did you have any doubts about doing something, say, on a continuing level in television, or were you grateful for it to come? How did you feel about that?
I felt it's been extraordinary. In the United States, there's a certain way that you have to do things. One of them is in television, you have to commit yourself to a 7-year contract with the studio and the company that's buying you. In that case, it was NBC. I had been offered from 1981 through 1984 for 3 years in a row. Steve Bochco had called me from Hill Street Blues to join him in the ensemble of Hill Street Blues, and I couldn't do it. So when I got the first phone call from Michael Mann, the executive producer and the creator of Miami Vice, I turned down the project. And mainly, I turned it down for about 5 or 6 phone calls. And basically because, as I told Steve Bochco, I could not commit to a 7-year contract with anyone. Because I had been working in a steady pace, very slowly but very steady, living within my means, never letting my possessions own me, in a way that I could function to create the things that I really thought were would help me understand who I was. And I went on to tell him that I couldn't work with him like I'd done to Steve Bochco, and he kept on asking me, please, you know, we really need you, and elevating, each phone call elevated the financial dollar. And I kept on turning down the money, and I told him, listen, it's not about money, it's all about my own ability to be able to go out and do the films that I want to do. And finally they gave me the first non-exclusive contract in the history of television, and went on to have creative control of my character. That's why I think is such a difference between my character and the other characters on the screen. And that was the only way that I could play inside of the arena of television.